Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, December 31st, 2024. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you are watching The Big Show, Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe it's the little things that make a big difference. Give them a call today, see what they can do for you. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Fitzy, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Happy New Year's Eve.
Happy New Year's Eve. How was your Christmas?
We should have had party hats and blowers and horns, and we could have had our own New Year's Eve party right now.
We
Pretend
should
it's
have.
midnight.
We should have.
Because
Good morning.
will you make it till midnight tonight?
I was literally thinking about it this morning, anticipating that may come up. And I was trying to remember the last time I stayed up. And I think it was like the first year, this must have been like 10 years ago when Drew and I first started dating. Because, you don't, because you've been married for a long time. I have also been married for a long time, just, with 3 different women. But the first time when you date someone, you have to, go through everything the first time, right? So I think that was the last time, like 9 or 10 years ago. What about you? When's the last time you were up until, not work-related?
Not work-related, never. I work every New Year's Eve, so it's kind of like Halloween and New Year's Eve. I don't know that I've missed a New Year's Eve on duty in 20 years or 28 years of law enforcement. I don't think I've ever. I did get done with work at like 3 in the morning and went to a bar in Cumberland and just hung out for a while. I don't remember. It was a long time. I remember going to a bar because bars don't have to close tonight, so you can go to the bar all night long. They don't have to close. So it's the one night of the year.
Have to close. Nobody has to close, do they?
They have to close at 2 a.m., 2:30 on the weekends.
Yeah.
So it's really tonight, since it's a weekday, they'd have to close at 2 a.m., but they don't have to close tonight. Bars don't have to close.
At all?
No, they can serve till New Year's night until 2 a.m. So
they still have to close at 2 a.m.
No, not tonight. Though.
Wait, what? How did I know that?
So we can get all week. When you wake up at 4 in the morning, you can run downtown, go to the bar. If they decide to stay open, they can stay open.
What?
Yep, bars can stay open. There's no closing tonight.
Well, all right.
It's in the state statutes.
Didn't know that. Yeah. It's been a while since you've been. You were. I think it's been a couple of weeks. You missed a lot of big news. And by the way, can we just finally We're all going to get a good night's rest now. It's going to be wonderful. It was the big story. It's on ABC News, CBS, NBC, everywhere.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie finally settled their 8-year divorce. I mean,
yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Not Jimmy Carter, Brad and Angelina.
Yeah, not the eagle, which, by the way, you see that? The eagle is a national bird now. Biden signed that in. I kind of thought we already had that as a national bird. Didn't know. We didn't.
Right. I didn't know that either, so.
Mike Schaefer says, and by the way, good morning, Dirk and Sharon. Mike says, we got married on New Year's Eve. Oh, happy anniversary. And until I had friends that were in Brooklyn until 6:30 a.m.
There you go.
Oh, my goodness. 6:30.
Wow. Oh. Mike Schaefer living it up.
No kidding. Well, we have oh my goodness, so much. I think I just put down like 5 or 6 things, big stories out of Barron County. Been a lot going on down there, unfortunately, for the last couple of weeks. So we'll get to all of that. We're not going to do our NFL picks anymore because it was pretty much over, right? With 2 weeks left, you wouldn't be able to catch up, so we stopped, which is fine, which is perfect timing because we're going to do our college football playoff picks. So we'll get to that right now. So we're going to do it a little bit differently. You just tell me who you'll pick for both of us, and I'll say what's probably best for college football, who should win. Okay. So here's what's left. So we'll pick the first one. Ohio State against Oregon. Who do you have?
Oregon.
I think so, too. And I think so what I'm rooting for here is what's best for college football is Oregon, Ohio State. This should be like a 35-32 game, and I don't really care who wins.
Right.
I just want this to be the best game of the weekend. It needs to be for college football.
How about that NFL game last night, though? That was pretty. I didn't watch the fourth quarter, but, man, that was a shootout.
I didn't watch it last night, but I watched the replay this morning on NFL Network when I was working. Holy buckets. That was a fun game.
That was a fun game. I watched the first couple quarters, and then that's all it cost. But, yeah.
I'm like, time for bed.
But it should be a shootout. It should be a good game. Hopefully all these games are good because first round game sucked.
Well, unfortunately, that leads us to the bottom left there. Arizona that's Arizona State, I believe, right?
Correct. Right.
Against Texas. So you see the number on the left is where they're seated, but on the right in the brackets is actually where their ranking was. So it's stupid that Arizona State was 12th seeded and they get a 4th round seed and a bye the first week. That's dumb. So in terms of what
it has to do with their record, and I think I'm going to pick Arizona State. I think they're going to. They're their coach is very aggressive. I've watched a story about him, and that'll be a real interesting game. And I'm starting to like this Arizona State head coach. So.
All right. Well, I'm telling you, what's best for football is Texas to blow them out, and they will.
Why do you think that?
Because they're wildly better. Arizona State should not be there, and we want to see them blow them out, so then college football will rethink how they're seeding people. So I think that's,
and then you have Oregon, Texas. I see. Okay.
Yeah, that would be a great. Notre Dame, Georgia. Obviously, with Georgia, 2-time national championship, they're going for the 3rd. Their starting quarterback's out. He announced for the NFL draft. Anyway, Notre Dame seems to really be playing well. Who do you have here?
Notre Dame.
And I think that would be good. And that should be if you're a college football fan, you want to see that. Anytime Notre Dame does well, it's better for college football, especially if they match up against Penn State in the next one. Who do you have in the next, Penn State or Boise State?
I'm going to take Boise State just because I want them. It's probably going to be Penn State, but I want to pick Boise State.
Okay, so I think the best for college football is a Notre Dame-Penn State matchup. Yeah. That's why I'm rooting for Penn State and Notre Dame, because Notre Dame and Boise State, who freaking cares?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Right. I think that's the tonight game. I know there's a game tonight and then 3 tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. I don't know which one's playing tonight.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I can't wait for tomorrow's game, by the way. There's 3 of them. 3 of the 4 are tomorrow. But there have been a lot of football on, which is weird. It's been like Wednesdays and Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays and Mondays. Every time I turn the TV on, there's an NFL game. But I'm really looking forward to the games tomorrow because I can actually watch them. Because all those games on is always when family's here for the holidays. Right. But tomorrow, no one's here. I'm watching college football.
Why is no one there? It's not a holiday. It's a holiday. All your wife's going to be there. Your kids are going to be there. They're not school.
I mean, like mom, dad, like other kids and stuff. I don't care what they do. It's like I don't have to entertain anyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing too. I mean, you're going to have a 14-win team be the 5th seed in the playoffs. That's not right. And not have a home game and 14 wins, and that's a huge game next Sunday night for the Vikings and the Detroit. I mean, NFL couldn't scripted that any better.
Yeah.
But I want to make a comment on college football because I don't like something. Okay. I don't think these quarterbacks should, when they declare for the NFL draft, and I get it, it's NFL and you want to, but they shouldn't get their NIL money if they're not going to play in the bowl game. You can't take your team all the way and then you declare for the draft and then your team just sits out there. Once you commit to these teams, you should play. I get it. The NFL probably says don't play. We don't want you to get hurt.
Well, their agents probably say that, not the NFL.
Right. Well, I'm sure the team does because if I'm looking at you and you're the number one guy and you're going to be my number one guy, because I don't know where you fall, because they got to get picked in the draft. But, I get it. Their agents say that, but they shouldn't get NIL money then. That's not right for the team.
Or maybe they should get an NIL money bonus. If they actually do that. Now, just to be clear, I was referencing Georgia earlier. He got hurt a month and a half ago, so he couldn't play anyway.
Right.
But no,
a lot
that
of
is
these
the thing.
players did play. Right.
Well, and up until now, we've had a 4-team playoff.
Right.
So if you didn't play again, it wasn't as big. There's only 4 teams. But now if you have 12, in theory, if they have 12 great quarterbacks that could all declare for the draft, you could have a 12-team playoff with none of their starting quarterbacks playing. And that's not good.
And that's not good for college. I mean, NIL has screwed up college football. Mike Schaefer would agree with that. But, I mean, he's argued that for a long. And the NFL's got a problem, too, because how does an 8-8 team get the 3rd seed in the NFL playoffs and the 14-3 team get the 5th seed? I mean, that's just not right. And have to go to the 8-8 on the road, it makes no sense at all.
It makes zero sense.
Yeah, they're going to have to relook at that. But it'll be a great football playoffs and good college football, and the next couple of weeks is going to be fun.
Yeah. Mike says you could do an entire show on the transfer portal, NIL, and what's wrong. You know what? We'll do that. The 3 of us, we're going to do, it won't be on a Tuesday show. We'll just pick some Saturday morning, and the 3 of us will all come on, and we'll just break it down and then just rip it apart. It'll be a dumpster fire.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is great. All right, we do have a lot of actually serious stuff to get to. We'll do that in 15 seconds after word from Spooner Health.
Spooner Health, compassion is at the center of everything we do. It's rooted in who we are and why we're here. It unites us as providers, neighbors, and as a community. Learn more at spoonerhealth.com.
All right, so I just put this in order of most recent. So some of these, by the time we get to the end, they were it'll be from like a week and a half ago. But the latest one, this was a press release from you. Our headline was "Juveniles Detained After Calls of Mailboxes Being Damaged, Burned, and Destroyed." For people who didn't see that, what was that about?
Yeah, we had a call on, what was it now? It must have been a week ago almost, or not quite a week ago. Yeah, it'll be a week ago Thursday, so almost 5 days ago. We got a call of about from several people advised their mailboxes were just burnt up or damaged. We ended up getting a possible plate number. Washburn County and the State Patrol stopped the vehicle for us, matching that description. That was our suspects. It was a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old, and they had been going around. Ultimately, they've done a lot more damage since that press release. They've done different things. They've done some vandalism at some other places. So there's a lot more to that story that will come out in the criminal complaint, including like $800 at one of the local businesses with ketchup packets or something to that effect. I don't know the whole details. It's not our case, but yeah, they've done a lot of damage across the county. I'm glad we got them stopped. And it sucks that it's a 17-year-old and it sucks that it's a 15-year-old. But we're turning it over to the federal agencies. The Mail Postal Service inspector will look at it. The county will charge my guess is the county will charge the arsons because it is arson. If you light a fire and it creates over $100 in damage, it's a felony. That sucks. Yeah. So it doesn't take a lot to, get to the felony level of this. So we'll have several charges of arson. Again, we don't have many 17-year-olds in the jail, but the state of Wisconsin allows 17-year-olds to go to jail, or says that 17-year-olds can go to jail. So, and that subject, because of the holidays, has been held over and will be held over, is being held over. So he has not been charged yet, the 17-year-old. And I know some people don't like that. I'm like, well, then don't play with the big boys. I mean, It's a big boy crime.
Right.
Get the big boy penalties. I mean, you can't, and they created, a lot of destruction. I understand mailboxes. Some people think, well, it's not a real big deal. It's a joke. It's just a box. You put it on a wall. But they were taking mail, lighting mail on fire. I mean, there was a lot more to the story here, and some damage to other things in the municipalities. And this is multi-counties now. We have other counties involved now. So you can't just decide to do whatever you want. And you're 17 and 15, you know the difference between right and wrong. You put a bottle rocket in one mailbox and, as a joke, but when you're destroying many mailboxes and damage to a lot of businesses, it's not right. So I know some people think the 15-year-old should be in jail. I can't put a 15-year-old in jail. Secure detention is not for that. I mean, we could have maybe pushed it. I don't think they would have taken him in secure detention. But this 15-year-old will be referred. I don't think he gets waived into adult court. You can always choose to do that. I don't think the severity of this crime raises to that level. So a lot of different philosophies here with Facebook. And if you read some of the comments, some are inappropriate. We've tried to take some of those off. But that's probably something we change in 2025. We'll probably have a lot less comments on our Facebook page. We want to share the information, but we're going to probably shut the comments off. So that's just something that I see changing in the future. So lots of different opinions on this case, but created a lot of work for us. My detectives and patrol people did a wonderful job. Multi-agency response here. Very good job. Very proud of my people, as I am every day. But with this case, it's these cases that are random and in the rural setting and very sporadic are tough to solve, and it was good police work.
I'm going to assume that there's probably a couple of schools of thoughts here. Is you had just mentioned that a 15-year-old should be in jail. So there's one school of thought. If the 17-year-old is, put the 15-year-old in. But there's probably another that says the 17-year-old shouldn't be. in jail,
Correct.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You had said it's not your case, but you'll be handling the arson part, and you mentioned the mail postal service. I was not aware that the mail postal service is.
It's a federal. Yep.
I
They have an
did not
enforcement
realize
agency.
that they would that they have investigative abilities, that they have
Mm-hmm.
like a team for this and staff for this, or
Right.
and that kind of takes
And
it
I
up a
don't.
level, right? I mean, this isn't just your local, because honestly, let's face it, 17-year-old, 15-year-old, and let's just assume for a moment it was just smashing mailboxes. When I was a kid, we had some people in my school that I knew that would go and, you know, I don't think it was like often, but, you know, they'd get baseball bats and sit in the back of like a pickup truck and, you know, smash a few mailboxes, and that was a big thing, I guess, you know, and I don't know if they ever got caught or anything. But I heard about that. But this is a little bit different. When you start bringing in mail now and taking mail, my understanding, especially if it's feds are investigating this, they don't screw around with mail. Like that actually is like a huge component. Like if everything else happened, maybe this stays a county issue, whomever that is, and maybe they get a little, hey, your kids, whatever. But that takes it up a notch, does it not?
I think it does. I mean, I don't understand it. It'll be an interesting case to follow because of their ages, 17 and 15, and what the federal government looks at that, how they handle something like that. And they may not. They may just refer that to the human services part of it. I don't. It'll be interesting. I don't understand a lot of it. I haven't had a lot of. I know that they look at this very seriously, though. I agree 100%. If you go to the postal website, there's a whole thing on, during the 4th of July, don't put firecrackers in mailboxes. It can lead to serious crimes. And they will charge people. I mean, they have attorneys that do this for a living. And if you do one or two, it's different. We're talking, I think 10 plus mailboxes. I think we're still looking for some. I think they did a lot more than we know of. I think people just like, oh, somebody hit my mailbox. And, I think people need to report that to us or the county. There's multiple counties involved here, Washburn, Burnett. My understanding is this is a long trail of people that they just would stop along the way. And I don't know the whole story again, but we're looking for, there's a refrigerator was thrown, a mini fridge was thrown at one. We can't find that one. So if someone has damage to a mailbox, they need to report it to their local law enforcement agency. It may be tied to this case. It may not be. There's copycat crimes and there's random acts of people doing dumb things when people do one and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. And then they don't do it ever again. That's how we learn. But this is I don't know, it's not a major case, but it is. No. It's very frustrating for people that one, they don't know what's in their mailbox and it got burnt. So they don't know if it was a birthday card, a Christmas card, a bill, right, that they didn't receive or a check they were waiting for or something else. And so, yeah, the mail should take it very seriously. And they do. Postmasters do. There's a lot of different opinions out there on this one. And again, my job is the law enforcement end of it. My job is not the other end of it. From a law enforcement standpoint, top-notch job by everybody.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to reading that criminal complaint when there's available, and we'll certainly.
It's going to be Thursday now because there's no court today or Wednesday. So don't commit a crime today. You're going to be in jail till Thursday.
We'll get to New Year's Eve at the very end of the show here. Next one we have this is our headline: 2 rescued after UTV breaks through ice near Chetek on Christmas evening. For people who didn't see that one, what was that about?
Yeah, we had a UTV drive around the lake, and obviously the lake is probably drivable for UTVs in spots, but with the warm weather, water and different where rivers flow into lakes and under bridges and different spots, there's soft ice. So know your lakes and if you don't think it's safe, don't drive out there. And a UTV went through the lake. Happened to be that one person got out and some local fishermen and a family that was fishing out on the lake on Christmas night helped the one guy out of the lake. That's a rescue to me. They saved a life on Christmas night. Besides our firemen risking their lives out there and our rescue people, our law enforcement officers, I mean, everybody was out there, making Christmas miracles happen. And there's a family out there that did some great things, and they didn't want any recognition that I'm aware of. We did some recognition that night for them, but they didn't want anything else to my knowledge. So we just thanked them for what they did, and everybody's okay. And the UTV is going to cost somebody a lot of money to get that out of the lake. It's still there. It's going to get out next week, what I'm told. And they have so many days to get it out, or they get fined per day by the DNR.
Really?
Yep. And that's not a law enforcement thing from our sheriff's department standpoint. You have so many days to get something out of the water. If your boat sinks, if your UTV, if your snowmobile goes through, you have so many days, and otherwise you're fined daily after that period of time.
Is there any exception? Well, you wouldn't probably know. I'm just wondering, is there any exceptions? Let's say it goes in the lake and then let's say it's 2 weeks. I'm just hypothetical here.
Yeah, I think it's 30 days. I actually think you get 30
days. But in that meantime, all of a sudden it gets to 30 below, and for the next 2 weeks, and it's like thick of ice. It's like, well, we can't really get in there now.
You can. There's companies that do this for a living. Okay. They just pay more. You just pay more.
Well, that person or persons that got rescued, I mean, Christmas Eve. Holy buckets. I'm sure they're waking up, I'm sure they woke up Christmas Day and have a different outlook on life. I mean, you could have literally died.
Yep. And it's not good. Yep. But hats off to the family fishermen and,
that's right.
Putting their own selves in, I don't know how they rescued them. I don't know any of the details behind that. But again, thanks to all of our firemen and our policemen and my team that went out. I went out on Christmas Eve and made sure everybody was good to go, and hats off to all them for, all leaving their families and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah. So,
we have a comment from Brian Melton, who's talking about nothing that we're talking about. A little off topic. I sent my letter of intent to watch. Yeah. So Brian Melton is was the board supervisor. Then he just resigned, and now he just sent his letter in. Apparently, sent my letter of intent.
That he's going to run?
Because apparently the board chair now has to select somebody to fill the next year and 4 months, and apparently Brian has decided to put his name back in. Well, breaking news right here on Positive Tuesday show.
Just kind of like the library situation. He thinks we have this much power, we can just get a job. Brian Melton's like, I know where I can get this appointment. So if you're listening, Washburn County.
Yeah, if you're listening, board chair. There you go.
Brian Melton's the guy.
And Dirk has mentioned that, I shoot videos with one company that does. See, okay. All right.
Yeah, Dirk does a lot of shots of that, getting people out, but it's not cheap also to get something off the lake out of the water.
I would assume so. And then you're damaged to your, well, whatever. Right. We got a lot more. Let's move on. The next one here was, our headline was 44-year-old woman killed in Prairie Farm rollover crash.
Yeah, and that one's just another sad situation. One vehicle, one person rolled over. Don't know I don't know. We didn't test for alcohol, things like that. So I can't tell you if alcohol is a contributing factor, but it doesn't matter. It's one person, one rollover. Just a sad situation. Another fatality. I think that puts us at 11 for the year. A little bit. That's too many. Again, we'll have those stats by mid-January for you.
I know. I literally was thinking about that this morning. I'm like, December 3rd. Oh, wait, it's Christmas. Oh, wait. Well, that means we're coming up close to it. Wow. It's my favorite show of the year. Yeah, and by the way, I'll talk to you offline about it. But I think I want to create, how we put up, graphics for things. Mm-hmm. I think I want to create a whole bunch. Like, I love doing the show, but we tend to, read this thing, and not many people have that in front of them. Maybe we'll take some screenshots or, some things, certain areas. But when that show comes, that's my favorite show of the year, is going through your report and comparing it. I love it.
I do too. I mean, I think it's good to people to see what we're doing. I think we're going to talk about New Year's Eve in a little bit. And I did a radio segment this morning for our local radio station on New Year's Eve, because our OWIs are skyrocketed. We're up almost 50% in OWIs. So it's 100% preventable. We've said that on the show since we've been doing this for 10 years or whatever, how long we've been doing this. And it's just 100% preventable. Make a plan. I mean, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
All right, we'll get to that. We'll have two left here that I want to make sure we touched on. This was actually a press release from the district attorney, and our headline was, "No criminal charges in Barron County motorcycle fatality." For people who don't remember that story, what was that story about? And then, are you satisfied with the district attorney's decision?
Yeah, we are satisfied with the district attorney. That was an accident. There was no intent. There was no recklessness. There was no, there's still a citation being issued. There's still going to be some punishment for that, but it wasn't criminal in nature. We are okay with that. It's not okay. You need to pay attention when you drive, because bad things happen. And there still will be a citation. There'll be some, ramifications.
What was it? I didn't have it in front of me. I should have printed that out or looked at it again this morning to refresh my memory. What was the actual accident?
That one is the one at Highway 8 and Highway O. And that was a motorcycle versus one car where there was a turn lane and they pulled out. There's a vehicle turning, didn't see the motorcycle, and they hit each other.
Yeah.
But a citation will be issued. It's a very serious citation. I think the fine is, and again, you take a life. I'm not comparing it. I'm just telling you what the fine is. I don't know that I agree. It's like $1,000 fine, and you lose your driver's license for so many months or days. I don't know the judge sets that up, but there is a ticket for causing death while driving without the intent. Again, it wasn't speeding, didn't run a stop sign, wasn't on their phone, but did fail to yield right away from a stop sign. So there's some damage. So it's not, nothing happens. The district attorney is not charging a criminal charge on that. So I had a lot of discussion with a lot of people this week unhappy with certain things that law enforcement does. And, I understand that we take the hit because we're out here in the public but you have to have intent on a crime. We have another case involving an animal, and people are frustrated that we solved it, but there was no intent. So I didn't charge anything. The DNR, it was a hunting violation. There was no hunting violation, but it was during hunting season, and people are upset about it. I get it. I feel bad, but I have to have intent that commit a crime. I have to show that you intended to drive drunk, shoot something, or reckless. I get, so I sent, the DA sends a lot of things out there where people aren't unhappy, but I'm the guy in the public. I'm the guy that catches the heat, and that's life. I get the good and the bad. I've always said that here. I got big shoulders, and sometimes they take a hit and sometimes they don't. And I'm learning to deal with that better, and I feel bad, but I don't know what to tell you. I just don't have this magic wand where I can just say, oh, you're guilty. Boom. I know a lot of people are unhappy. Some people are unhappy with no charging here. Some people think, well, they pulled out from the stop sign, they should go to jail or prison. It's not how it works. So you really have to have intent to show that you were reckless in doing what you're doing, and that's just how. Sue them civilly. There's a great easy lawsuit here. A lot of our charges civilly. I know people aren't. They like that takes money. I get it, but that's why there's two forms of taking care of people. So civilly they have cases, but they don't have any criminal cases. So.
Well, and it's very few times in life where there's like an absolute right and absolute wrong, or just a black and white. Far too often there's nuance. There's so much kind of in the middle, and it sounds like this is another example of something like that where there's a person dead, therefore that person should be in prison for 30 years. And it's not that easy. And then it also doesn't mean that it wasn't an intent, so nothing. Well, it's not either. It's what's in the middle, what is chargeable and what isn't. And I don't know. That's tough. Obviously, it's a loss of an individual. You always want someone to essentially pay for it per se, right?
Right.
But at the same time, there are such things as accidents. I don't know. Those are tough. Obviously, I think they're really, really obviously tougher for the family that's involved on both sides.
Right.
Those are terrible, and obviously the loss of life is terrible as well.
Hang on, I gotta check something. We're working on a phone issue, so.
All right.
Perfect. We got people are coming. We're having a little phone issue this morning. It's working, but and we switched radios to our new radio system update, and we need the technician to come and adjust some volumes. We got something we can't hear, so I just wanted to make sure everybody's coming. We've been working on that this morning.
Got it.
So everything's good. We're there, but yeah. So
right.
I get it. People want to pay, but no. Just on a side note here, I know that's not on your list. I know we've had some discussion about sex offenders. There's been a lot in the news about our sex offenders.
See, I purposely didn't put that down, by the way, or people getting released, because I know you've been kind of getting a lot of that over the last few weeks.
Yeah, and that's okay, and people aren't happy that they're getting released. And you made the point about people should go to prison for 30 years for killing somebody. There's a lot of people that commit murder that are getting out. I've put away. I don't say but my team has put away that are already getting out. And I've only been the sheriff 17 years. So, and they've killed somebody and they're already getting out of prison. So do I think that's right?
No.
Absolutely not. I don't think it's right, but I don't get a say. But these people met their sentence. I know there's people that don't want them in their neighborhood. They don't like that a cop bought the house. I can't what people do off duty. There's a
I'm
lot
sorry,
of
what did you say? That a cop bought their house?
A cop owns this rental that works for me, and that's what people are upset about. And I can't do what they do off duty, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. So if anybody thinks we're shying away from it, or we're not shying away from it, but I don't get a say in a lot of these things. Like, I think people should go to prison for longer. I don't get that say. Do I think these two guys should get out of prison? I really don't think they should get out, but they get out. Again, I don't get a say in it. I didn't release these two guys. They have to come back to Barron County. That's why we assigned the law, so we don't get Milwaukee sex offenders. We don't get Washburn sex offenders. Washburn doesn't get our sex offenders. Because if you commit a crime in Barron, everybody knows who you are. So when you get out of prison, you're like, well, I don't really want to be in Barron because everybody knows who I am. So I'd rather let's go to Superior where no one knows who I am, and I can go live a life. That's not how it works. You can't do that when you're a sex offender. You have to go back to the county of a jurisdiction, and then that draws up victims and all this other stuff. And it sucks. It sucks for people. I don't want to place these people, but they get placed. And so I don't.
Again, going back to there's no absolute right and absolute wrong, right? There's goods and there's bads of this. It's good that everybody knows who they are, but also it could be bad because they could be in the same county that they victimized someone, and that individual still lives there. And now they may have to see 100%. Them every once in a while. So it's the best that we have. It's not great for everybody. It's just it's what it is.
Right. And so it took a lot of heat for that over the month of December, and it's so far so good. These people are out and they're doing their things. I'm not saying they'll last forever. Hopefully they do. And I hope no bank gets robbed. I hope no one drives drunk ever again. But if that was easy, then I just wish that, and we wouldn't have crime and I wouldn't have a job. And that's not going to happen. So we have a great plan in place for these sex offenders, just like we have a plan in place to catch all the bad guys we try to catch. So that's just the job of being the sheriff. And
so you could do like what some sheriffs do, just don't release anything or say anything. See, there is probably, I think, a strategy to that. I don't think it's like laziness or complacency or anything. There could be an actual strategy to that where it's, well, hey, because I don't want to take any of the heat. I don't want to answer any of the questions. I'm glad you don't.
Put yourself out there. I'm glad I don't either, and I'm fine because I think the people deserve it. Deserve to have a voice, and I think that's important. But that's pretty easy to. I can see why people do some things like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right, we have one more on the list, and we'll talk New Year's Eve, and this one was a very unfortunate one. Man and a woman found dead at Steck area home. I believe you had 2 press releases about that. For people who didn't see that over the holidays, what was that about?
Yeah, that one was, and I wanted to get on that before we got to this one because this is the most serious one we've had, and this was a murder-suicide, and that's what we had, and it was very tragic, and it was a bad scene. It involved a knife. Most of these murder-suicides you see involve a gun. This one involved a knife. It was a domestic situation that turned bad, and I mean it's not a very complicated case because of the scene, but it was a very graphic scene for my team. We were called to a house of a woman laying outside based on some information we had. We believed it was a possible setup for us because the person didn't like law enforcement, and the last time we got called there had a gun. We took some extra precautions to get there. It was obvious she was killed instantly. He had then committed suicide inside the house, but we had our team there. Our detectives had to come out. It was a major scene. We were there all day on a Sunday afternoon. And, our tragedy for the family, having to notify 3 adult children that both their parents were dead. Just a sad situation. I mean, not much you can say on that one. It was just a bad one. Like I said, what our officers have to see, and that's one of the reasons I don't love talking about this part, but I want people to understand our cops are seeing some pretty bad stuff.
And you can't unsee it.
Right. You can't unsee what they did. And I don't want other people to see this. Our first responders have to see this when we call them. We took some precautions there and didn't have a lot of first responders on scene because the situation was obviously they were deceased. And so all that goes into play in my mind when we have a call like this to try to limit exposure. We even limited the exposure to the number of officers that were on scene so they didn't have to see it. I mean, all that goes into play of why I sit at a scene for 8 hours to make sure that they're okay and they're ready to go. But again, hats off to the law enforcement team for what they do, our medical examiner for what he does. But yeah, a very tragic scene to have to walk through a house with a 20-ish year old kid where a murder suicide just occurred with your mom and your dad, and turn over the house to them. It's not what any kid should have to go through. Domestics and OWIs, we're going to concentrate on them. And we did. And I've reached out to Embrace, and they're on board. We're going to do some trainings in January to do some different things here, but keep calling. Call in drunk drivers, call in domestics, help your neighbor. I think the neighbors did a wonderful job of creating safety plans talk to your neighbors. If you're going through something, have a plan in place and a phone contact. And if you don't call somebody in a half hour, then, call us. We'll check it out. If everything works out great, we'll drive away. Don't be afraid to call the police. So that's what will come out of this. I always try to find good in this, and this one's tough to find any good in here. But from this, we'll learn that we need to reach out and help people when they need help. I think the neighbors did a wonderful job here of all they could do. And sometimes you just can't stop what happens. So
you said limit exposure.
Yeah.
Is that something that you have learned over the years? Is that something that somebody once told you, like at a Badger State Sheriff's Association meeting, that someone had shared, when I knew that this was seen, I did this? And because I know that you pick up on what other people do too, right? I mean, you're always learning, right? And you hear these things that go, you've mentioned that about like Tracy Finch and sometimes what she does, like, yeah, we've learned from that. The Washburn County thing earlier this month, I think, the call in about the school thing in Shell Lake, and you came out and you said they did some great things that we took from that, and we're going to implement that stuff here. Where did the limited exposure, if you knew that these were both deceased and the impact that this can have on people and they can't unsee it, your people and EMS and maybe it's firefighter, whomever, all the people, the first responders, you made the decision to limit that exposure, not have as many people in. When did that start? Or has it always been that way for 17 years as sheriff? Have you always done it this way?
No, we haven't done it this way. And I think we're learning that through this exposure of these bad things that we all see, it affects us in our personal lives. And I think you see that with suicide of officers. You see that with, people leaving the job field. I think you see some of that. So I think enough bad things have happened and we've learned from that. I think we used to say, it's just another dead body. We'll just move on. And
you're cops, you're first responders. You're used to this stuff.
We're supposed to see this, and that's okay. No, it affects us. We have kids. We don't want to see that, Again, our thoughts and prayers are with Dunn County and Menominee Police Department. They both lost a jailer and an officer this week. Yeah, so, and that's just oddity. I mean, one was a drunk driver. Again, 100% preventable. It's got to come to a stop. Our OWIs are skyrocketed, and that's just ours, not on any of these PDs. So, I think we've learned to deal with it differently. I think we've learned that this stuff has an effect on us as law enforcement officers, and we have to deal with it. We have to talk about it. And did we laugh a little bit at this crime scene? 100%.
You have to process.
You have to. Exactly. And if somebody says, "Oh, that's so rude that those cops were laughing," you
try not to laugh in front of other people because they would understand it. Tracy Finch has said that before too. She's like, some of our cops' humor, if people actually knew some of the things we said, or what cops said, not really them, just like what cops said, you would. Oh my goodness! Like people would freak out. Yeah. It's just, but that's what we have to do. Sometimes, not all the time. It's not like just a laugh riot.
And it's not inappropriate. It's just we have to. You're joking at this scene while you're waiting for a family, but you're talking about football or
anything,
parties,
anything.
Kid, right? So that's where it comes in. So no, I think we've learned it over time. I think as a leader, I think you have to do that. So I think you have to say, you know what, every cop doesn't need to come and see this, and some cops need to see it. And maybe you say,
I see what you're saying.
So some cops need to see this. One, from a standpoint that says this is what a knife does, and this is what you look like in a knife wound, and this is how, in case, because you have to grow your officers too, because your detectives aren't going to be your detectives forever. There's going to be younger officers that are going to become detectives, so you have to know where to insert them and where to say, you know what, not on this one. We're going to learn differently here. We'll just not on this one go. But it was one of, again, I keep saying this, and I don't know if it's just the time I've been here and they've been getting more. Some of these things are very graphic, and I don't know why. I mean, the last fatality, or not the last fatality, but one of the couple fatalities ago was very graphic. So I don't know why, or if we're just noticing it more and we're talking about it more. So, and I'm glad we are, and we're not afraid to talk about it here at the Sheriff's Department. We have a peer support team. We have all that in place to handle these situations, and I'm very proud of my team and what we do here. So.
Yeah, Dirk Miller says you have to. I'm assuming that's referencing to laugh. Been there and done that a few times with helping recover people from tornado damage over the years of storms chasing in the southern plains. Yeah. Real quick, I want to go back to this. Patty Anderson had put a comment. The sheriff and his team with state reps did a fantastic job at the town hall held in Barron with the sex offenders release. Very informative. That's right. The last time we were on the show a couple weeks ago, I think it was coming up that week. It was like December 15th or something. So we haven't talked about it since. So it sounds like it went well.
Well, no, it didn't go well.
It
went well.
Oh, man, that should be the whole show. I love this.
Well, no, I mean, it went very well. Patty's right. The information we shared, it's just no one liked the information. And, of course, no one wants it in their neighborhood. So I get it. But Patty's right. The information we shared is very good. This is why they have to do it, but people don't like that a cop owned it, how much rent they get, money they get, and that's set by the state. It's not a negotiation that I was able to. I'm like, hey, you should rent this house because they're going to pay it's not $5,000 a month. I'm just making that number up.
Yep.
It's like $3,500 a month for two sex offenders. But I mean, that's what the state pays across the state, not because it's in Barron County, not because I'm the sheriff, not because the guy's a cop. That's not the reason. But people don't like it. It creates some. So hang on.
Do you need to take it?
I know.
Put it on speaker.
I just got to send a text. But it went very well.
Would you have done it? I'll wait till you finish here. So I don't know if you're going to hear this question. Would you, now that you did that, would you do it again? Knowing that maybe it wasn't didn't get received as well?
I would have been a little bit more firm. I let people talk because they thought that was important to vent.
Yeah, I think so.
But I would have been a little bit more firmer in some of my answers and say, no, that's not how it is. And I wish the state would have been a little bit more firmer. I would have prepped people more. I wish we could have given them more time. And that was a lot of it was the timing. You only gave us 10 days notice, and I get it 100%. If I would have gave you 30 days notice, you'd have just been mad for 30 days instead of 10 because nothing was changing. Yeah. There's nothing you could have done to stop this. The state of Wisconsin does this. There's nothing the county could have done. The county board couldn't have taken action. And that was a lot of where the county board should have intervened in this. And it's not. That's not how it works. The state of Wisconsin doesn't. I don't want to say they don't care, but this is just how it is. Because if they gave everybody a vote, of course, if I said I'm going to put a sex offender into your house, but you get a vote in it, you're going to say no.
Yep.
And so they don't give people votes in this. I don't get a vote in this. No one gets a vote. The bad guys don't get a vote. The good guys, the neighbors don't. I agree that it affects people's lives. So I'm sorry they have to get out, but they have to go somewhere. And until we build an island that they can all go to, that's great. But the state of Wisconsin should invest in that then. And then
I think we tried that with Australia once, didn't we? Wasn't that just like basically one big prison for England?
There's 58 of these in the state of Wisconsin currently today, 58 980s. We happen to have 2 of them. And we have 3 because there's one person that's been on a 980 for the last 20 some years. And
that's right.
Hasn't had any violations. So hopefully they never violate again and they live happily ever after. That's all I can hope for. But if they do, something does happen, we have a plan in place, a response plan. We have technical things in place. We have I think
that's all you can do, right? Is just this is what it is, and the best we can do is to inform people, and then also we have a plan for all these things. I'm sorry, I want to go back. You said there were only 58 or 580. I wrote down which one is it?
58 currently.
There's only 58 currently in the United States, and
no, in Wisconsin.
Oh, in Wisconsin.
58 in Wisconsin, and those are the 980s, which is the serious sex offender. So there's only been 500. I'd have to look at the thing. I have the printout somewhere. 500 in like the whole time frame, and only 3 have violated. 3 have ever violated their, So he.
I wonder. Do you think that's because of the seriousness of law enforcement that and all of the rules that are set up?
Well, I think it's that. I think it's treatment. I think it's they don't want to go back to prison. I think a lot of these people have been in prison for 40 plus years, and they're like, I don't want to do that again, so I'm not going to do that. I think it's age, it's mental, it's treatment, it's the rules, it's the monitoring, it's the if you violate, if you jaywalk, you're going to go back to prison. I mean, I think the seriousness of it, I think it's there's no line in the sand here where like if you cross it, I might put you, if you cross the line, you're going back to prison. I mean, there isn't a lot of gray area here. So
good.
I think it's as good as it can be. Do I wish they wouldn't get out? I'd pass a law. If Romaine wants to pass a law that 980s never get out of jail and he can convince the rest of the legislature, I'm in. But I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think people do get rehabilitated. It happens in America. If we put everybody in prison and leave everybody in prison for everything they do, then this 17-year-old that destroyed a bunch of mailboxes is going to be in prison forever. Yeah. Because, we just can't do that. We have to rehabilitate people, whether you believe it or not. I know the seriousness of this is very serious. I think we have to think about the victims in this case. I don't think we talked at that meeting. I don't think we talked about the victims and how victims feel and how we'd want these guys to be under as much monitoring as they can be in a rural setting where they have less exposure. Is there exposure to the neighbors? Sure. But there might not be because of the distance between houses. Yeah. But I get it. We could do 10 shows on this and talk about it till Christmas next year, but it doesn't change what's happened. And we just got to move forward with it.
We have talked about it quite a bit, and it does come up when now obviously the 980s, that takes it up a notch, right? But we have talked about this quite a bit.
The homeless sex offender that was going to get out tomorrow is going to Minnesota. He's not going to be homeless.
Hey.
He was transferred to Minnesota yesterday, so we win one.
Wait, how? I thought you did. Wait, what? No, that's we're already past our time. So we'll talk about this another time. But I don't understand that. Is there a short version of this? You just got finished saying that you got to get released in that place, and now it's like, well, just kidding. This guy's going to not only another county, just another state. How does that happen?
I don't know. That the 980s are different. I don't know why he gets released. I think it has to do with an impact. I don't know. I don't know. That's, again, not my area. I just got an email yesterday that says the homeless guy is not getting released into Barron County. So why that happens, I have no idea.
It kind of contradicts what. All right, I don't understand.
He has crimes in both states, and I think that's why.
And I wonder also if he actually has a residence there. So if there's crime in both states, and one of them you have a residence, and one of you are homeless, okay, now that totally makes sense to me. Then, but
there were some timelines that have to go into place, and the state finally met those timelines. Right. But Larry's right. There's probably no cure for that problem to some degree, but some people
I have a hard time disagreeing with Larry on that one. Just saying.
I do too, but we have to give it a shot. So,
yeah. All right, New Year's Eve tonight. I mean, you must be going home for the rest of the day. I mean, look, you're in a casual Tuesday.
No, I'm going to go home a little early because I'm going to come back out tonight.
Oh.
But I got to take care of this phone and dispatch issue. So
what's the night look like tonight?
Tonight looks great for the weather. The roads are awesome, but we have to continue to work on we put a post out yesterday, make a plan today for tomorrow night, make it tonight. You can't make it tonight when we all get to the barn, we have our first drink, we'll decide who's going to drive home.
Exactly right.
Do it right now. Do it today but go out. All of our restaurants, all of our bars are having specials. Go out, enjoy those places. Just don't drink.
Have an exit strategy. Plan ahead. Yeah. You're right. You're not going to make a good decision when you're 8 beers in. You're just not. Just assume you're going to not be able to drive home. Just assume that. Or now, if you're able to drive, fine. But assume you're not going to be able to. How hard is it? It's not that difficult.
Right. And when you have the first beer and it tastes good, and then the second beer and you're like, I'm just going to have one more and I'll sit here for 3 hours, and then you don't. Bad things happen. I mean, people lose their lives. I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road on this one. And this is 100% preventable. I think every crime can be preventable, but this isn't anger, passion, something like that. This is just stupidity. Don't drink and drive. It costs a lot of money and it saves lives. And I don't want my people seeing what they're doing. We had a drunk driver driving the wrong way on the road last night. We finally got it stopped, and we arrested the person for drunk driving. Wrong way on Highway 53 last night. It was what was it, Tuesday night? Boom. Monday night? It was a Monday night. Wrong way driver, arrested, OWI. Boom. So that's another one on our numbers. So I think we'll be at a 50% increase. Just the Barron County Sheriff's Department, just close to a 50% increase. And that's some increased enforcement, but I think it's a lot of people calling in, and I want you to call in. I know we don't get to a lot of these traffic complaints, but if you have somebody swerving in front of you, you need to pick up the phone, dial 911 and say, this person's swerving in front of me. We might be totally out of position and they might get away with it, but we might be right on top of it and can stop it and save a life. So call in those traffic complaints. Do we get to every traffic complaint? We try to, and no, we don't. We're in the wrong position and we can't find the car when we get there.
Should people call 911 or a phone number?
No, you can call 911. I want people to call 911. That gives us your position. It gives us that. People always know that number. If you're reporting something, you can call 911.
So let's be clear. You're saying that if you're driving down the road and you see somebody swerving, I mean, not just like once, right? I mean, it needs to be probably a little bit more.
Right. Let's not say, maybe they're texting. And a lot of these aren't drunk, and they are people texting, and they shouldn't be, and then we deal with that.
But if you see something egregious enough, you're saying it's okay. We're not going to be upset. Please call 911.
Right.
Really?
And again, we probably won't, in that we have a non-emergency number, and you can call that, but it's the same person answers it. So it's not like, Now we do preference that if we have ambulance calls. And again, why we ask people to call the non-emergency number is because we prioritize our calls. So, but if it's somebody swerving down the highway and you're like, wow, if this person hits a guardrail and spins out and it's going to wreck me, that's serious enough. You're okay to call 911.
Okay.
And just give us as much information as you can. We're working on texting the 911. We're going to be able to call 911. We're going to send a text to your phone. Again, you can't be driving while you're doing this.
Let's say that's a little. Just text us. That's fine.
But you're going to be able to actually take a picture, send it right to our dispatcher. We're going to have this. I mean, technology is changing for the future. Well, we're going to have this technology in Barron County, hopefully sooner than later. If the phone companies, we're ready on our end. We're waiting for phone companies to, flip some switches and get the technology on their end. So we're very proud of where we're at from a county standpoint. Again, we had a changeover yesterday, and we've got a few issues. That's why my phone's been ringing, and I'm going to go deal with them as soon as we're done here. But I want everybody to have a great 2025, a good finish to 24, a great 2025. I want to thank you, Ben, for having me on all this year. I mean, we've had a great year. Why we do this show, we'll continue to do it in 25 because I think it's a great way to reach the people and to get information out there. And I know I'm excited for 2025. We're going to have a great year here at the Sheriff's Department.
Well, keep doing the shows until you win the next election, and then we'll decide if we're going to keep doing it again. Here is our official weather forecast from our official weatherman on Positive to the Ben and Fitzy, Dirk Miller. So obviously the highs up there in red today. Yeah. Oh, wow. Very nice day today. 30 to 35.
Very nice.
Wednesday, 7. Okay. I don't see any snow in the forecast, but if you start looking at those lows there in the bottom, it's going to start getting cold here towards the end of the week, but at least sunny. Isn't that usually how it goes? It gets cold when it's sunny.
Yeah, which is okay, but there's no fog. The fog is lifted, it appears, so I think that's good for us for travel tonight. But there was a lot of fog and some slick roads and spots, so I think we'll have great roads today. And don't commit a crime. You won't get out till Thursday.
Yeah, try not to commit a crime, huh? Till next week. Well, we'll be on and just try to go 7 days, right? 7 days without committing a crime, and let us know how well you did next Tuesday. And if you're not able to be on, we'll see you in the booking reports anyway. So, Ann, Happy New Year to Ann, and thank you, Cheryl, and Happy New Year to everyone. And by the way, if you're looking for it more detailed, so obviously Dirk Miller's forecast, just you see him in the comments, just click on him and go to his page. He'll have more. He has more detailed things daily on his page. This has been. I think this is episode 215. Of course, not of just this year. But yeah, I think we only didn't do like one show. I know you had a couple weeks off just recently. Otherwise, like you did like all the shows. It was just December. So I think you did like 51 out of or 49 out of the 52 you did, and I think I did all 52 this year. I think, but yeah, it's been a.
We took last week off, both of us.
Christmas Eve. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was the only one I think we have taken off together.
I think I missed 4 or 5, but that's pretty good streak for us.
I don't remember you missing that many.
Yeah, I think we missed a couple. I know we did a couple from remote locations where I was.
Oh, so that's right. Yeah, that's what we should have done. That we should have done like a year in review. But I remember what you were in your trailer,
the motorhome one.
Your motorhome. That's right. I forgot
kitchen table one time.
That's right. I remember that one too. Oh, that was great. Yeah, it's been great.
Well, Happy New Year, Ben.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
Stay up till midnight tonight.
Up 8:30 tops.
If you stay till 11, you can see the ball drop in New York, and then you can go to bed.
I can watch that tomorrow morning. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe it's the little things that make a big difference. Give them a call. The numbers right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. To serve coffee with you. What is this now?
Yeah, well, Patty, he'd have to know where Hagen is, and we had to explain where Hagen was to him.
I now know where Hagen is because they have this awesome freaking restaurant. Wait, is that the restaurant? Is that the restaurant right on the corner? That place is awesome.
I serve coffee there with the senior dining a couple times a year. But you'd have to get out of your house and get up early. So we'll get you there.
What? No, by the way, I went there. I took my daughter Riley there several months ago. And we were at the bank, and I said, yeah, we're just going for breakfast. And someone said, you should go to Hagen. I'm like, I know where Hagen is now because Fitzy told me. And they said, yeah, it's just right on the corner there. So we drove down there that morning. She had off school that day. And what a great, and my mom used to own a restaurant called Diane's Kitchen in Shell Lake. It totally reminded me of that. It was just, I loved everything about it.
It's great. Patty's she's not the Hagen mayor. Unofficially she is. So
it's one of those. Yeah, it's like my brother Matt. He's like the unofficial mayor of Shell Lake.
Right, yeah, exactly, just like that. Patty runs Hagen. But she does great things for ADRC, and we talked about ADRC yet. So,
all right.
Happy New Year.
I can't wait to talk to next year, I guess, right? Oh, yeah. All right, wishing all of you a Happy New Year. So until next year, thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.